My main reason was the failure of Labour to honour certain elements of social democracy. And I felt that, you know, I was very disenchanted from Labour right from the business of the Iraq War, which I felt was a highly illegal war, and a war that no real Labour Party should have got itself involved in. And I didn't like Blair's attitude towards it, and the fact that he got us in that. And it seemed to me that the SNP, and as you say quite firmly, I was a very loyal Labour supporter, but the SNP seemed to be the ones who were actually the keepers of the social democratic flag. And when I was in Scotland during the referendum, it became clear to me that Labour had become so disconnected. And certainly in my hometown, the sense of disillusion with the Labour Party was so deep and so profound, because it's the poorest people who have suffered, and it's the poorest people that Labour have not helped, particularly in Scotland.
So for you, it's not really the primary idea of breaking away from the United Kingdom, of independence in that sense, it's the social policy?
Very much so, and it's also to do with the fact that, you know, I think the independence issue is of course there, but I don't think in this current election it's to the fore, and I think quite rightly so. I think Nicola has made that very clear. I think Nicola has shown she's been exemplary in her whole handling of this election. I just listened to what Alex was saying earlier on, and I think that what we can do in Scotland is we can move things to a much more progressive, if not federal, sense of politics. I mean, this election seems to me it's more about the individual constituency than actually about overall kind of party views. And I think that what we're going to see is the constituencies are going to surprise us all. I mean, like in Solihull, like the main challenge is from the Greens, and yet in the neighbouring place it's from the UKIP. So it's quite interesting what's happening in that way. I think it's very unusual, and I think the paradigm of politics is shifting, and hopefully shifting towards a situation where the northwest and the northeast can be properly represented. I always said, even during the referendum campaign, that the referendum was as much about England as it was about Scotland. And of course, the fact that people like John Major, who behaved so feudally towards Scotland, and Cameron, who has been almost hypocritical in the fact that he was asking us to please stay, please stay, please stay, but please stay only under these conditions, I find astonishing and, you know, ridiculous, quite frankly.
Yeah. I mean, you lived all over the world. You have a base in England as well, and interest in English politics. And yet, I mean, what would you say to English people, and they're really politicians across the spectrum in England, who are saying, well, look, you can't in the end say that a party that wants independence, that wants to break away, can be treated like the Greens or UKIP or what are the Liberal Democrats or whatever, one of the other parties that wants to play within the system of the United Kingdom?
I think the system, we have to deal with the system as it stands. There was a no vote. We didn't get independence this time. But I think it's a while before we're going to come around to it again. But I do think, you know, I was very much a Devo Max person, and I was actually forced to become an independent, and I was quite proud of the fact I became independent. But what I do think is the independent issue is down the track a little bit. I think what we have to deal with is and it behooves us to deal with our English brothers and sisters, is really sorting British politics out once and for all. And British politics are in a very, very sad state. But also the opposite of that, the paradox of that, is the paradigm is shifting, and it's that paradigm which is that the Scots can help kind of move into a much more progressive area. And so therefore I think Nicola's handling of this whole election campaign has been quite brilliant, because it's clear she's dealing with Westminster politics. That's the priority, not independence.
Brian Cox, thank you very much indeed for joining us.